Talking smoking around children. It's a massively important subject, and I'm getting a little bit irritated with old MG on my right here, who has this very trite attitude towards it. And in fact, I would say, Mike, I'll be perfectly honest, I've known you for a long time, I think you actually lack a sense of responsibility when it comes to smoking in general and smoking around your children. Because when you told me out there that you wouldn't even object to your 17-year-old daughter having a cigarette and you wouldn't try and advise her against it, when you say to me...
That's not what I said.
Yes, you did.
No, it's not.
You absolutely damn well did.
I said that when
if
she
you're
was 17,
yeah.
when she was 17, she asked me for a cigarette.
Yeah, that's right.
And I gave her one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's massively irresponsible.
And I told her that I didn't think it was a good idea for her to smoke.
But you didn't stop her smoking.
I thought she should try it.
You thought you should try it?
Yeah.
You see, this is what I don't get, Mike. What a
Do you really seriously think that teenagers are not offered cigarettes? Do you
well,
seriously think they don't have an opportunity to go and buy them?
I do not think their parents should encourage them. It's a dilettante attitude and it's dangerous. Now, let's just move on to why we're talking about this. Pictures in the paper this morning. Young Billie Piper, beautiful young actress, 27 years of age, former assistant to Doctor Who, former wife of Chris Evans, pictured this morning smoking a cigarette in a very close proximity to her little child. I mean,
in a pub garden.
Yeah.
In the open air.
It doesn't matter. The smoke is clearly, moving around the child in one way or another.
It's not.
We all know what secondary smoking can do, but secondary smoking towards a little... How old is this child? 2 or 3? And I think it's even younger than that. And
21 months old.
21 months old. And not even 2 years of age. And you know what smoke, tobacco smoke laden with all its poisons can do to an innocent little body with innocent little lungs, innocent little heart, innocent little throat and mouth. I'm sorry.
Get off your high horse.
8 minutes past 11, rendered almost speechless there, Mike, by your irresponsible attitude towards smoking. Tell me how you can justify smoking as a father of 4 children and not condemn your children when they, at a very early age, 17, want to take up smoking. It's indefensible.
Well, first of all, my 17-year-old daughter is now 20, OK, and she doesn't smoke.
But she was 17 when you gave her a fag.
And I would say that was partly as a result of me saying to her, look, you really shouldn't smoke.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a conversation about it. What you don't do is ban your children from doing things in order that they then revolt against that and go and hang around with their friends, go and hang around on street corners and buy packets of 10 cigarettes and smoke them incessantly and then think it's a great idea. I think I did the right thing. She doesn't smoke now. I'm very happy about that. But it's about personal freedom. It's about personal liberty.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you cannot smoke anywhere apart from in your own home, apart from in your own car, apart from in the open air.
That's right.
Right? You
Yeah.
can't smoke any others. I've just been out for a cigarette while the news was on.
onto the fire
I have to go
escape.
out onto a fire escape like some kind of, leper.
Yeah.
I have to go and stand somewhere away from everybody else.
And leave all
now,
your
are you
filthy
seriously
litter all
going
over
to
the
tell
place?
me where you walk around, and particularly, I mean, I'm much more concerned when I take my children out, for example, when before my 3-year-old was out of the pushchair. You push a child down a street in London. How many fumes do you think that child is going to be, exposed to? How many ghastly pollutants do you think they could take into their lungs at any given time?
What on earth are you talking about?
So what are you going to say? You have to put some kind of a helmet onto your child's head so they don't have to breathe in any of that stuff?
No, either don't take them down a high street or...
Oh, don't take your children out now, is that your new thing?
No, take them out in the country or accept that that's part of Monday life. But
What
the
I'm
thing
sa-
is, you're imposing your smoking will on. Now,
I'm not.
hang on, Mike. Let's
Absolutely
just
not.
get to your second family then. That was your 17-year-old. Your second family, because, of course, you're a deadbeat dad. You seem to move from one family situation to another. And your new children, your new children, the latest
They're
clutch...
all my children,
The
okay?
latest clutch. You can say it'll be the last, by the way. What's your attitude towards smoking around your children of age 3 and 2?
I've never smoked in the same house where I am with the children, right? So I've never smoked indoors, but I do smoke outside. I smoke in the garden. And my 5-year-old son, funnily enough, is forever coming home with leaflets, with bits of information that he's given at school about the dangers of smoking at the age of 5, which in my view is a complete and utter waste of public money. I want my child to be taught about how to add up. I want my child to be taught about how to read and write. I don't want my child to be given propaganda by the government about how many times he should say to his father, I don't think you should be smoking, Dad, which is what he does, by the way.
Right. Well, I'm glad he does.
It's an issue of personal freedom. Smoking is still legal in this country, and I will continue to smoke until it becomes illegal.
Oh, well, it's bad and unhealthy, and I think you should do everything to stop your children doing it. Give us a call, please, 0871, straight to the lines. Let's go north of the border and speak to Susan in Ayrshire. Hello, Susan.
Hi.
Yeah, hello. What's
Morning.
your take on this, Susan?
Well, I'm a smoker and I'm a mother.
Yeah.
I don't smoke in the house. in front of my children, never have done. Don't smoke in the car either.
Right.
The only place I smoke is outside. And I agree with what your colleague said about the fact that you can't walk away and leave your child. You have to have them near you because then they could get lost.
Yeah.
So, and I really don't think that what she's done is that bad.
Yeah.
And I think...
Susan, apart from the fact that these pictures show the smoke from her exhaled cigarette drifting around the child's head, what about the fact that your child will think that your breath stinks all the time? Because that's what cigarettes do to you, that your hair smells, that your clothes smell. Do you think it's really healthy for a mother of a young child to smoke?
No, it isn't, and I tell my kids it's wrong and it's not good and I don't want them to do it. But it's an addiction, and really there's a lot more worse things that a mother can do than smoke, I have to say.
Well, hang on, okay, you could be a gym bottle maniac, or you could be out all night in discos and things, but you're not. You're a responsible mother. But part of being a responsible mother is saying to yourself, look, I don't think I'll smoke anymore because it's such a pervasive atmosphere for my child to grow up in. I'm not going to do it. Don't you know that when you...
It is, but that's easier said than done, really.
Well,
and I agree with what your colleague said as well about the pollution outside. What we're going to do, put the masks on kids.
Well, all right, Susan, all I can tell you this. If I go outside to a main street in London, walk 100 yards and come back in, I do not smell like a lorry or like a diesel tank full of fuel. But if Mike Graham, MG on my right, goes out to the fire escape, where he has to, shuffle off to, has a cigarette and comes back, he smells like a cigarette. He smells like a human cigarette. And that's how your little child must perceive you.
Addiction. I mean, have you ever had a drink in front of your child?
I haven't got any children,
He hasn't got any children, but he's a great expert on raising children. Isn't that marvellous?
No, but hang on. Nieces and nephews
so you haven't got children, but you're giving opinions about people that have got kids and how they bring them up.
No.
I consider myself to be a really good mum.
Yeah.
But, and the only bad habit I have is smoking.
Yeah.
And as I say, I tell my kids it's wrong and I don't want them to do it.
Yeah.
And I would be devastated if they did it.
Yeah.
And I have never, even when you used to be able to smoke in restaurants, I always went to no smoking areas. I never ever took the kids.
Yeah.
In fact, I complained about a woman one day that was smoking in a non-smoking area.
Yeah, well, that's good of you. Okay, Susan, I'm not calling you a bad mother. Thank you very much indeed for calling us and giving us your point of view on it. I'm sure you are a very able
The point is that most parents, have a much better idea of what they need to do around their children, what they need to say to their children, and how they need to behave when their children are around, okay? And most parents, I'm sure, would not smoke in the same room where their children are. But this is in a pub garden.
Yeah.
It's in the open air.
Yeah.
You have completely misrepresented the picture because the way that the picture has been taken, it is impossible to tell how far away that child is. The child could be a couple of feet away from where the smoke is.
I don't accept that.
And if you're in the open air, it matters not.
It's too close, and no parent should smoke when they've got young children around because it's the pervasive atmosphere of tobacco, of the stink and the smell of, cigarettes on your fingers, in your hair, coming out of your mouth with your breath. It's horrible. It must be ghastly for a child. Right, we're talking about responsible parenthood, smoking around your children. It's all based on a picture that's been widely published today showing Billie Piper, famous actress, former Doctor Who assistant, smoking in the vicinity of a child. Mike Graham's trying to make out, she's feet away, and it's just a clever angle on a picture.
Well, it's not conclusive, is what I'm saying. Her son is 21 months old. His name is Winston. They're both in a pub garden in North London.
Yep.
It is impossible to tell precisely how close she is to him. She's certainly not blowing the smoke over him, as you were suggesting earlier.
Yep.
Quite frankly, he could be a couple of feet away.
Yep.
But the issue is not really that. The issue is, you do not know what makes a good mother. You do not know what makes a good parent.
Yep.
She is by no means a bad parent just because this picture has been taken, and I'm sure she knows perfectly well about the dangers of smoking and the dangers of smoking around children. But I don't think it's right for you to castigate her, and it's an issue of personal freedom. Let me read you this text that I've got here, from Matt in Sheffield. This is the kind of thing that people who are smokers have to put up with, because there are some people in the world who are just nasty, okay? This is what this guy says. He says, for the effects of passive smoking, Mike Graham, read Roy Castle, hence the blanket ban on smoking in enclosed spaces. Take your disease-riddled habit and quietly kill yourself, and don't subject us non-smokers to your filth.
No, that's
nice, isn't it?
That's not on.
I mean, that is the kind of thing that these kind of people who are completely deranged want to curb my personal freedom. I have personal freedom in this country. We live in a democracy, right? Yeah. We do not live in a place where every single thing is bad.
But you impose that personal freedom on people like me.
I do not impose it on anybody.
Yes, you do. I don't like the smell of smoke pervading in the studio when you've been out and had a quick crafty fag and come back in.
You don't like the smell of smoke?
No, I don't like the smell of smoke.
I don't like the smell of a lot of things. I don't like the smell of the food the moose eats. I don't ban him from eating it.
Yeah, well, you sort that out with the moose. I'm only passing a personal personal opinion. Right, look, the College of Physicians, Royal College of Physicians, have blamed secondary smoking for over 15,000 causes of childhood asthma every year in the UK. Youngsters exposed to cigarette smoke are also more likely to get colds and coughs, and even middle ear
rubbish.
Hang on, and even middle ear infections and meningitis. Oh, so you're saying the Royal College of Physicians are just a bunch of nutters?
I'm saying that nowadays smoking has become the new kind of, devil worshipping. Anybody who
It's
smokes,
not a good thing, Mike.
Anybody who smokes is absolutely vilified by medical science, and everybody knows
anybody who defends
second-hand smoke has not been in any way proven to cause anything more than any other.
Anybody who defends it is.
You grew up, as I did,
Yeah.
at a time when you were exposed to plenty of smoke.
I did.
You were also exposed to plenty of coal fires before they even brought in smokeless fuel, right?
Yeah.
My grandfather used to sit and smoke rolled-up cigarettes. He also used to put snuff up his nose, right?
Yeah.
Now, that didn't do me any harm, and it didn't do you any harm.
Let's get back to the lines. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Paul's a Liverpool fan in Eastbourne in East Sussex. Hello, Paul.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Morning.
Tell us what you think.
Well, great show, great debate. Yeah, I do agree with you. Passive smoke in front of children doesn't send a good message, especially when you're a celeb.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm really, really, really passionate about, and I'm not saying that Billie Piper did it in any way.
Yeah.
When the smoking ban came out 3 years ago, where it's illegal for a person to smoke on a station platform at 5 o'clock in the morning when there's not a man within 100 yards of them, it's illegal.
Yeah.
But a pregnant woman can actually walk down the street smoking.
Mm.
Now, how can it be illegal? How can it be illegal for a person to smoke marijuana?
Yeah.
But that because it's harmful, but a pregnant woman can technically smoke.
I totally agree with that.
Why isn't there a law? If a woman is knowingly pregnant, it should be illegal for her to smoke.
Yeah. But what other laws would you like to bring in about pregnant women? Some places,
Mike,
for
you can't
example, hang on
defend
a second. Yes, I can.
You can't defend that.
It's a question of personal freedom. If somebody wants to do something, Paul, who on earth do you think you are to say that they shouldn't be able to do it?
I'm not thinking of the woman. I'm thinking of the child what's in the womb.
Well, what's it got to do with you?
What's it got to do with me?
Yeah.
So what's it? Hang on a minute. So why should I drive around at 30 mile an hour then, or 20 mile an hour in a school area if I knock a child down?
That's something to do with you because you're driving and you don't wish to do somebody else any harm. When you're talking about a woman who has nothing to do with you, who is not related to you, who wishes to do something which you regard as unpleasant or possibly dangerous, you want to bring a law in about it. That's the problem in this country. There are too many busybodies, too many people who want to invade everybody else's privacy. Why don't you just butt out and keep your own life in order?
Paul, I will apologise on Mike Graham's behalf. Thank you very much indeed. I mean, to castigate the guy because he's trying to protect an unborn child, Mike,
what's it got to do with
it's
him?
It's hitting depths, honestly.
No, it's not.
It's hitting depths.
What's it got to do with him?
It's got everything to do with him. He's a responsible human being. Are you saying you shouldn't defend unborn children?
No, you shouldn't if it's not your child.
Oh, ridiculous rubbish. Right, I tell you what, let's talk to somebody who might have an iota of sense in this debate, and that's Martin Dockrell, who's the Director of Policy and Research at ASH, which is the Anti-Smoking Campaign. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning.
Yeah, hello, Martin. Martin, have you seen this picture we're talking about this morning?
I have indeed, yeah.
Right, now what's your response to it, please?
Well, there are two big consequences of smoking in front of children. One is a direct harm that you can cause a child, and I know your guest in the studio doesn't believe it, but there's a serious harm caused, not just to kids with asthma, but even doubling the risk of cot death, sudden infant death. Now, and I speak as a former smoker, and I speak as the uncle of a child who died from sudden infant death. So I guess in this case it does really affect me. And I was a smoker at the time. I used to smoke around my nephews and nieces, and I regret it deeply. But there's also the question of role models. And the more we smoke in front of kids, the more they think that smoking is what most adults do, and the more likely they are to smoke themselves. Now, most parents, even smokers, don't want their kids to grow up as smokers.
Let me ask you a question, Martin. The smoking ban has been in existence now for quite a long time in England, even longer in Scotland. What effect has it had on the sales of cigarettes in this country?
Well, it had an early effect where the tobacco sales went down and smoking rates went down, and that lasted for about a year. Then the recession kicked in, and we began to see an increase again in smoking, as you tend to do in
precisely.
times
So
of economic
if
hardship.
the point of the smoking ban was to try and convince people that
It
they
never
shouldn't
was.
smoke, right?
That was never the point.
Well, yeah,
the point of the smoking ban was to protect non-smokers from second-hand smoke.
Right, but you would also, I presume, think that by bringing in the smoking ban, you would like to reduce the numbers of people smoking.
That was never the objective.
Well,
of the
if
bill.
it wasn't the objective, then that's good because it didn't work. But secondly, if you make something illegal, or you make something more difficult for young people to do, or you make it in some way a bad thing to do, that won't actually discourage them from doing it. It might actually encourage them to do it, and that's clearly what happens. You still see teenagers smoking. Would you let me finish, please?
Yeah, of course.
You still see teenagers smoking. You still see more and more teenagers able to access cigarettes when perhaps they shouldn't. And so the idea that you make it sort of something that is socially unacceptable will encourage a lot of kids to do it. So what are you going to do about that?
Well, you might be surprised to hear that I agree with you insofar as if you make it an adult thing, an adult activity, if you drive the message to kids that, in fact, it's not for kids to smoke, smoking is an adult activity, then you increase youth smoking rates precisely because you increase this kind of sense of that you can buy rebellion, you can buy adulthood at the corner shop at £7 a pack. However, what we can do is we can reinforce the message that, in fact, most adults don't smoke. 4 out of 5 adults don't smoke. And the more kids understand that smoking is a minority activity among adults, just get a realistic impression, the less likely they are to smoke themselves. If you ask kids now, they tend to guess that 50 to 75% of adults smoke, and that's what drives youth smoking. So if we could help them have a more accurate impression of what most adults do, then that'll have a downward pressure on youth smoking.
Yeah, and join the mob. Thank you very much indeed. That was our guest there, Martin Dockrell, Director of Policy and Research at ASH, which is the anti-smoking campaign. And you vilify ASH as being a bunch of interfering
Well,
busybodies.
first of all, it's largely paid for by government funding, which is taxpayers' money, okay? And most of the time, people don't know that.
It's a very valuable voice.
It is not a very valuable voice.
Of course it is.
It's all about propaganda.
It's got to combat people like you who defend smoking when it's clear that smoking damages your health.
Well, listen, I'm not defending smoking. I'm defending the right of people to do something which is perfectly legal and which has not not proved by any stretch of the imagination to actually cause absolute and utter health problems all the time to everybody who does it.
It's perfectly legal to step off a pavement in front of a lorry, Mike, but it's a ridiculous thing to do, and it's ridiculous to stick cigarettes in your mouth, set fire to them, and congest your lungs. And the health service will have to rescue you one of these days.
They get plenty of money.
For sure.
They get £9 billion from smokers. They only spend £6 billion of that actually fixing up people with lung cancer. So you're already losing that one.
Well, our taxes would go down if people like you didn't indulge yourself in your own personal pleasures to the detriment of the rest of society. Right.